We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars ever that you get your podcast. What is good, everybody? We talked about this during the preview. We said this is either going to be a day that we go, oh man, what happened? Or we will be celebrating and having a great time because the Bears, something big would happen, and the Bears win big. The Bears go absolutely crazy on the Carolina Panthers. And I know that some people might be out there being like, you know what? It was the Carolina Panthers. But that's exactly what you want to do. You want to see a big win like this. Caleb Williams has one of his best games as a pro, and ultimately brings it to the Carolina Panthers, at home, and just absolutely plays, in my mind, one of the best games, that actually probably the best game that I've seen him play as a Chicago Bear. But this is what we've talked about. Him getting better and better and better and stacking good games together. And this is simply what you want to see as a Chicago Bears fan, is you want to see good games being strung together. And as we all know, everyone out there on YouTube, we will be reviewing the tape tomorrow, so hope to see you there, probably around 7:15 Central Time, sometime around there, just so that we can try and get everything done the way that we did last week. But basically, this was a big game just for the Bears to prove what type of a team they are. The Panthers are a bad team. We talked about that. The Bears were able to whoop them 36-10. So it feels good. Shy Drax is out there saying hit the like button. Agreed. And Bears win. And also Robbie saying franchise quarterback. And also Joe saying, Brad, Caleb, confidence is sky high right now. This is a good feeling. And this is what we need. This is what we talked about in the preview. We said that this team is not great at rushing the passer. This Panthers team, they had the lowest pressure rate. And at the very beginning, I'm like, oh boy, right? I felt like we were all kind of the same way, where we went, oh boy, he got sacked. Like, he was brought down, and we're like, this again against this team. And then all of a sudden, things started clicking. Things started coming together. And it was, even though that the first drive was bad, after that, everything started firing, and we saw him distribute the ball significantly more than we saw any other time. Because I remember going through some of the receiving yards and being like, oh man, well, we really just had DeAndre Swift as a pass catcher. But what we have out here from the pass perspective, DJ Moore had 105 yards and 2 touchdowns against his former team. Cole Kmet, 57 yards. That was our big key, is Cole Kmet. They don't have good linebackers. He should be open. He should be able to do big things. And speaking of big things, DeAndre Swift must listen to the show. I've been saying that he did not look great for all those beginning weeks. He's really coming together, really looking good, and doing a great job. And it's just awesome to see him performing at that high level. And Rome Odunze getting involved, 5 receptions for 40 yards, and even Keenan Allen, 3 for 33, and Gerald Everett 2 for 22. So ball was distributed to a lot of those weapons. I really did like seeing Gerald Everett out there as well. But you see all those key weapons. You see DJ Moore, you see Cole Kmet. Those are the 6 people that we've kind of illustrated as the weapons that we brought in, the weapons that he has, and the fact that he was using them, and then throwing for 304 passing yards, 20 for 29, 2 touchdowns, sacked only that one time, a QB rating of 126.2, and then rushing on the ground wasn't as good as we were hoping for. Didn't get it going as well. 3.3 yards per carry. DeAndre Swift with 3.5, and Roschon Johnson with 2.5. Now, the thing that I want to see is how many of those, I don't want to be caught up too much in the rushing stats right there, because it felt like a lot of them were on the 1 yard line. And I think that's something I just want to kind of call out. Feels like a lot of those were on the 1 yard line for sure. But overall, this was a big game, and this was a good game. And I still, just to kind of put the little dampener, the big concern I had was how could we stop the run? And we didn't. We didn't stop the run, but the pass defense was absolutely insane. And we see the yards. We gave up 172 total yards, 136 passing yards from Andy Dalton, 172 total, including Bryce Young's. But then with the rushing, 6.3 yards a carry, 120 yards total, 97 of them coming from Chuba Hubbard for 7.5 yards a carry. That's the thing that we'll talk about a little bit later. But overall, they beat a bad team in convincing fashion, and that's something that be happy about it. If you don't love watching a game like that, like I don't know why, like it's just fun. It's just fun to see your team beat up on another team, and you need something like this, and they took advantage of it. And I think that's the key part. You took advantage of the opportunity that was in front of you. So build off of this and keep growing from this. So also Taco Man, hope everything's good. Saying what a beat down. Bears bones. Exactly. It helps when Caleb has time. And also Shadrax, my concern is Shane Waldron and how he starts games, which is really funny because Shane Waldron was actually known in Seattle as someone that was really good at scripting drives, similar to Matt Nagy. Good at scripting his drives, but then nothing else really kind of happening later on. So that's something that is kind of odd because it always seems like the first drive out, we never end up scoring. It's the other things that we finally start getting hot. So that's something that was overall. But also to T-Dub, Brad, and everyone, evening, bear down, my friend. Hope all is well. And Taco Man saying she should have left Swift in to run that first touchdown. Yes. So actually, I don't have many notes from this game because just notes in general, I was just enjoying myself. I was having a blast. My father-in-law and my mother-in-law were in town. They're both Vikings fans, so we just watched the Vikings game. We watched the Bears game, and to me, I'm just enjoying the game. But the thing that I did jot down is exactly that, Taco Man, because y'all know me. I've been critical of Swift because of just how inefficient he has been running. But the last two weeks, we've seen more efficient running from him. But also down in the red zone, like he's not as strong as Roschon Johnson. But at the same time, you could tell how much he wanted that touchdown. And that's just one of those things. I think us as Bears fans, even though that the 85 Bears was 40 years ago, we all know that Walter should have gotten the ball and ran it in because he wanted it. Now, obviously, that was significantly more important than this little touchdown, but you could see that Swift really, really, really wanted the ball and run it in. And to me, that's something that, like, if you're a manager and if somebody wants to show that they can do something and they're amped up and they're doing awesome with everything, ride the hot hand. Just give it to them with that. And then besides that, then keep going like, okay, this is still Roschon's to do. I just wish that they would have given it to him right there. And just because you could see how much he wanted that. And I think in that situation, yes, like when someone is that adamant and that like, I'm going to do this, especially since it's all about lowering your head and just powering through, give it to him. Just give it to him. So yeah, that's the only like downside I could really think of off the top of my head from the offensive standpoint, because that was something that I just wanted to see them at least hand that off. So that's my big piece. But let's talk about some of the inactives, a little bit about the injuries, because something that I found interesting was that we still see like that Doug Kramer is more so the fullback, and it works because you just have that bigger body out there. And I like that they're at least doing more of that than anything else. So to me, with the inactives, I also use this time to talk about injuries. We need to monitor Tevin Jenkins and also even low-key Jaquan Brisker, because Jaquan Brisker, we saw that gigantic hit on Tommy Tremble, where we need to just make sure that these people that are kind of banged up, we're going to be going overseas. We're going to be going over to London. And so with this, it's not the same setup that the Bears have. This is not a NFL facility. This is a soccer facility. So to me, what you have to, and also they have to fly. They have to have these accommodations and a longer trip, So something we just have to monitor the injuries a little bit. Tevin gets banged up again. And also, the interesting part is Bill Murray then comes in. And we'll review the tape more, but it didn't seem like Bill Murray really was like a step down or anything like that. But it is something that you could tell they're not big fans of Nate Davis anymore, because Nate Davis last week was the one that they put in at right guard. And what did they do? They put Pryor at left guard. But like what we saw in the tape, Pryor struggled at the gate at left guard, and then you saw Nate Davis not do as well when he's blocking. And Nate Davis was not doing well from the run block perspective. Pass block, yes. But I thought that it was very telling that the writing's on the wall for Nate Davis. I mean, it already was because he got benched. But overall, with Nate Davis, he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone at the end of the year. They'll cut him because then that's when they can save the money and everything like that. So then they'll pay the guarantees this year. Thank you for your service. See you later. And then they'll move on with something else. So just something to look out for with Tevin, but also Brisker, just with that, like, not saying that he has a concussion right now, but just something because of the nature of that hit. Maybe they might monitor him for a concussion or something like that. So let's flip over to this offense and break this down a little bit more. We already talked a little bit about the stats where the rushing attack wasn't as good as last week. The numbers don't kind of back that up. But the passing attack was clicking on all cylinders. Also, Keith, what is good? Bear down, Bears junkie as well. Hope you're doing well, my friend. But let's also see out there, Taco Man saying he was injured, quote unquote, or they wanted another sample of different linemen in his spot. I don't know. I think the thing too is, like, I want to see like what the injury is. Like, is it just his ribs? Like, what is it that because Tevin's constantly banged out and banged up and just is being taken out. And I think with Tevin too, right? We all were hoping that Tevin would kind of take it to this next step, show them that he's healthy and everything like that. But we're not seeing that, which is honestly very, very disappointing, because I know some of us really love Tevin. But let's talk about this offense. Like we said, total was 296 passing yards, but Caleb threw for 304 yards because of that one sack, -8. But I believe this is true. I should have looked this up before the show, but I believe that Caleb Williams has thrown for more 300 passing yards than Justin Fields. Just saying. But it just kind of credits what Caleb is. And I thought that today you really saw the mobility of Caleb, right? He's not a scrambler. He's not a runner. He's a mobile quarterback. And you see that with the way that he was running the football. He's always looking downfield. He's always not, like, he doesn't want to actually run with it. But he still had 5 carries for 34 yards. And on some of those plays, I don't know about you guys, but like there was the one that he almost like got the first down and it was like second down or something. And I turned to my father-in-law and I go, I don't like that. And then the announcer's like, Bears fans gotta love that. And I'm like, I don't love that because I feel like he wouldn't be able to get away with that with other teams. Like, it was very, 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 very lucky. It was the first scramble that he had when he was going out where you're like, okay, I want to see who was open or anything like that, or just try and throw the ball away, do something like that. But Caleb, very good game. Very good game. Like, all things considered, phenomenal game, was able to run the football. But this is the thing that is optimistic about Caleb, because I know we live in a world where everybody wants to be right today and get instant gratification. Caleb is getting better every game, and that's what you want to see. The reason why we drafted him is because he's a smart guy and also has a very, very high ceiling. And what we saw today was just that continuing. We saw multiple occasions, and I can tell you this without even watching the All-22, multiple occasions of him going through his reads and then operating that way. But also, too, on the touchdown to DJ Moore, I'm watching the game and I go, DJ Moore is by himself. Like on the deep ball that was like in the back corner of the end zone when he's going against J.C. Horn. And I turn to my father-in-law and go, single coverage, down on the bottom, there's no safety help. He's got to throw it to him. And what does Caleb do? Like, I feel like this is what was probably going through Caleb's mind. He sees that and he's looking right so that the safety stays over there and just lobs it up to DJ. Touchdown. And it's things like that you can tell he gets, and he's just understanding the game very, 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 very well. And I think that's the thing is when you're seeing the processing, you're seeing everything getting better and better and better. Like, how can't you be excited about that? And yeah, anybody that compares him to like what Jaden did this week or last week or anything like that, it is a long career. You could go back to all sorts of different quarterbacks out there, like Baker Mayfield versus Josh Allen their first year. That's one that comes to mind. Josh Allen was terrible his first year. Baker Mayfield was significantly better. And then now, I'd take Josh Allen, even though that he went like, 9 of 30? But anyways, it's like you'd rather have these other quarterbacks. It's about the development. And right now, Caleb is developing. And also a little bit more stats about Caleb. We'll do our data deep dive later on this week, typically on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, depending on what pops up for me. But time to throw, 2.94 seconds. So significantly higher. He was holding onto the ball longer. But we mentioned that in the preview. You can do this against the Carolina Panthers. So do it. Like it's very smart to have these longer developing routes because they're not going to be getting to you because you can trust your offensive line more, which is weird to say. You can trust your offensive line significantly more because of that. So they let him hold on to the ball longer, have longer developing routes, and you see this too with completed air yards. He was, let me just do a quick little thing. It appears like around top 10. 6.1 completed air yards, and intended air yards was 7.6. And this is a stat that we like to bring up because he's always been one of the worst, like throughout the first 3 weeks, because he hasn't been able to complete those deeper passes. But when you look at his spray chart, he was 2 for 3 throwing it deep. So past 20 yards. In the intermediate 10 to 20, he did miss 4 of the throws. So he was 6 of 2. Or 2 of 6, which not great, but everything else very, very, very accurate. So still, those deep passes are still things that he's got to work on. He's got to adjust, but that the arm talent is there. It's getting everything in sync with the wide receivers, which it felt like he was more in sync with his receivers than any other week. But also Caleb Williams, average intended air yards differential was top 10. So good stuff, because, hey, it means that when he's throwing it, it's completing. And that's really what he's going for. So awesome stuff from Caleb. Really, really great thing. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments, down in the chat. Let's see. But also, Scottish Bear saying Tevin Jenkins injured his ankle. Thank you for that. Right when we were doing it and we were talking about Tevin, I was like, I didn't actually look up his injury. So thank you for that, Scottish Bear. I appreciate that. Also, hope you're doing well. And Taco Man saying my stomach twist when he runs, just slide. Agreed. Shydrak saying agreed. I don't want RG3 effect. Exactly. Keith saying Brad, evening. And also my screen just randomly went blank. Brad, evening. So happy our Bears won. Agreed. It's such a good feeling. And Bears Bone saying, I like that Shane is trusting him to run the offense. He is under center more and the no huddle. And also too, something that we got to call out is that players meeting that they had with Shane Waldron. And this is anything inside of like my professional career or anything like that. It's good to get what is going on out in the open. It's good to hold people accountable. Don't be a tool about it, but it's good to hold people accountable and also let them know what you expect too. They expect to be taught. They expect to be held accountable by Shane Waldron. And now we see the offense doing a lot better. We see the offense playing well. Yes, albeit against some bad defenses, but you're seeing like you have that. Now you're starting to play better. And this is just all the good momentum that you want to get out of this team. So, Jack saying, since we got DJ, I've been waiting for the long ball for 2 years, right? Like, we're getting that. And Bears Junkie saying, the draft nerds, we're expecting Jane Daniels to get off to a better start because he played in a pro offense in college. Yeah. And Bear Me, what's good? Saying, we played the Panthers, not impressed yet. Aw, man. See, to me, it's like, I enjoy it, man. I'll take a win. You can only play the people in front of you. And when the people in front of you are bad and you whoop them, I like it. Right? I like it for sure. So, Yeah, so that's what we have with like at least the passing side of things. But when we flip over to the rushing, and actually also too, another thing that really helped was we mentioned that the corners were good. And when we look at just the yards of separation, Gerald Everett, 5.46 yards of separation when targeted. DJ Moore, 4.86 yards of separation when targeted. Keep in mind, league average is around 2.96 to be precise. Cole Kmet, 3.62 yards of separation when targeted, and Roman Dunze, 4.63 yards of separation. So the only one with negative is Keenan Allen with 2.66 yards of separation when he was targeted. So overall, your wide receivers were getting open for you. Your wide receivers had the space around them. So they were helping him today so that he was able to get the ball out, get it to the open man, and then they were able to make some moves and make some good plays. So let's talk a little bit about the running game, because that is something that I have been critical of. And, like we've mentioned, you look at the stats, like the basic stats, and it doesn't tell the full story. I thought that Swift had a good game, and I thought that Swift was able to break some tackles. I thought that he was being elusive. I still want to see what Swift looks like, and this is where I'll go with bear me on this, right? I am not going to all of a sudden crown Swift like he had a very good game. I want to see him against a good defense, because they will guard that cutback lane. They will bring you down on first contact. That's the big thing that I want to see with Swift overall is, what I like is he went off of that good performance, and I thought he still looked really good. Also, he's so good in open fields, in screens, and other plays like that. So I like that we had a good handful of two screens to him. I think that's good, just to get the ball in his hands and have him do stuff. And also, it builds the confidence of Caleb, because if checking it down sometimes can feel like, okay, I'm just copping out of this. But when you have someone like a DeAndre Swift, where if you throw it to him and he's got space, that's how he operates. He needs that space to just be like, okay, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And that is what I really like about, what's been going on. But still, when you look at the advanced metrics, this is less efficient than last week. 4.49 efficiency rating, which is 6 worse so far. So we'll have the final numbers on Tuesday. But then also the people in the box, Roschon Johnson faced that 40% of the time yet again. A lot of goal line stands that he was going against. But then DeAndre Swift, 19%. So yeah, not great. Not great. Roschon Johnson actually had a negative rush yards over expected at negative 0.89. So not great from him. Swift, negative 0.58. So the advanced next gen stats, not a big fan of what the Bears running backs were doing today. We'll see what the tape ends up saying. Ultimately, were they finding the right holes? Do we expect some more yards? We'll break that down tomorrow for sure. But overall, offense, it was fun. And I thought that the offensive line held up well. Braxton still, he's got that whole pushback thing. I mentioned that to my father-in-law, and then he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see it. But thought that the line blocked well. The block, they weren't letting up a bad defensive line. So to me, they were going against a bad defensive line. They weren't getting beaten. So to me, good offensive performance. Great stuff all the way around. So let's flip over to the defense, and let's talk about this, because the defense played well. But still, like we said, when we look at the actual numbers themselves, it's the passing defense is really good, because you're talking about Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was under pressure like crazy. And Andy Dalton, it was the highest in here. Courtney Cronin provided this stat saying the Bears defense pressured Andy Dalton on 20 of his 41 dropbacks. And keep in mind too, their offensive line is no slouch. That's the thing that they were trying to build around this team. And the fact that the Bears defensive line was able to get that much pressure, which was 48.8% of their, which was the highest pressure rate in a game since ESPN began tracking the metric in 2009, which I actually kind of paused a little bit, because actually that was NFL. Never mind. That was NFL Next Gen Stats. This is the fun part about advanced metrics. Everyone has their own take on it, because the NFL Next Gen Stats had Caleb Williams pressured on 50% of his snaps last game. This is ESPN analytics, so 2 different analytics companies altogether, but still, Bears defensive line getting a lot of pressure on Andy Dalton. So just really awesome stuff, because you even look at it too. Last week, it was Walker and Billings who was kind of collapsing the pocket. This week, Gervon Dexter and Montez Sweat, both with above average or better than average separation from the quarterback. Gervon's at 4 yards away from the quarterback and Sweat at 3.83. So the league average 4.57. So really, your defensive linemen that you want to see, Dexter and Sweat, that we have a lot of hope for the future with, they had a very good game today, really kind of pushing that pile back. But when we also look at just the overall sack numbers, we had Austin Booker with a sack, Gervon Dexter constantly in the backfield, causing all sorts of havoc. DeMarcus Walker with a half a sack, Andrew Billings with a sack, and Kyler Gordon with a half a sack as well. And it's just, they were all out there. They were producing a lot of pressure on that quarterback, and just fun to watch. But it's the run defense that still gets me scared, because Chuba Hubbard is good. Like we said, this offensive line is good. And we did not, we got burned. Chuba Hubbard, 7.5 yards a carry. His longest was that 38-yard touchdown. But even when you take that out, he still had a very good game. He still was averaging, close to 6 yards a carry. Like, he had a very, very good game, and they do need to start to figure that out and figure out how they can at least start to slow that down. And I don't know what it is. Part of me feels like it's when I know Chris Williams doesn't really hold the line of attack too well, but yet again, Chris Williams isn't out there a whole bunch. But also DeMarcus Walker, maybe it's because he shifts inside and he's not able to hold up as much. We'll try and look for that a little bit more with the tape breakdown, just to see why is it that we still can't seem to stop the run overall. But also, when we look at who had some big plays, who are the big play receivers, we talked about Deontay Johnson and locking him down. 3 catches for 23 yards, great from the Bears defensive backs. So then they had Jalen Coker with 4 receptions for 68 yards. He was the only one that was really able to do anything. And Jonathan Mingo continues to kind of struggle out of Ole Miss. 2 catches for only 37 yards. But Bears defense played very well. Interception. And I got to say, Kevin Byard's interception, that's a thing of beauty. The way he played that ball, just epic. And just the ability to track it, the ability to make the grab too. Very, very good stuff from this Bears defense. Coming away with 4 total sacks. So great stuff all around from this Bears defense, except we got to see that run game a little bit better. But let's see what y'all are saying out there too. Robbie's saying, of particular note was the yardage total with his second game. Oh yeah, for Caleb, at least 300 passing yards. Yeah. And Muck saying the Bears needs to tighten up on the run. Agreed. Robbie saying Dalton was lighting it up previous weeks. That's a very good point. Like what PFF had him as with his previous 2 games, he was a top 10 quarterback according to PFF grades. But he was doing very well. He had time in the pocket, and the Bears were like, you know what? No, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have that anymore. So I kind of want to see also how much were the Bears loading up the box, because that was another thing that they haven't been doing. But that's something that you got to start doing, especially if you're giving up 6.3 yards a carry overall. But also Bill Murray, good job. Agreed. Dexter had a great game is what Bears Bones is saying. Agreed. That was really awesome to see. And then also too, let's see what else is out there. Tremaine got lost in traffic. I feel that too. Like sometimes he does. I did see that he got 2 times. He was targeted 2 times for only 6 yards. So good stuff. Also had a defensive stop. But yeah, we'll see the tape too, because yeah, sometimes he does get lost in that. But also, we don't create a lot of push. And I think that's something that we'll watch. It's like we don't really form a line where that barrier, it seems like they're able to push us back a lot with a lot of it. But yeah, that's the thing, is we're not really pushing them back. And yeah, so overall, we'll see that. We'll watch that, see what is going on with this Bears offensive, with this Bears rush defense because it hasn't been pretty. Everything else, good. But also, this is what you want to see. The offense can play a good game. You want to see the running game a little bit better, the run defense a little bit better. That's the stuff that makes everything easier, makes everything simpler. But to me, like I kept saying, I'm like, I love it when they keep passing the ball because our pass defense really, really came to play. So kudos to them on everything when it comes down to the pass defense. So now let's talk about the special teams review. Let's talk about our beloved special teams where Torrey Taylor kind of, he kind of didn't really impress a lot of us with this. We could blame the Windy City Winds, 4 punts, 178 yards, one inside of the 20, but that was about it. Longest of 49 yards. This wasn't his special teams player of the week performance like he had last week. Then also Cairo Santos continuously making field goals except for his extra point. So at least he just missed the extra point. I'm fine with that compared to the field goal, right? Get that out of your system. Now when we play the Jags and we play some other games, just continue the perfection that's out there. But also when we look at the kick returns, DeAndre Carter had a return for 30 yards. Khalil Herbert had a return for 28 yards. And Josh Blackwell got in on the action with a 22-yarder. So, yet again, just, I don't know, the new kickoff rule is so weird. We didn't have anything explosive. Everyone's just trying to bring it back to the 30-yard line anyways. But then also DeAndre Carter, 1 for 6 yards. Just okay stuff, right? Nothing to really kind of, hammer home about with this overall special teams performance for sure. But yeah, that's it. But let's go over to who else is saying stuff out there in the comments. Bears Bones agreeing with Taco Man. A lot of people agreeing with what Taco Man had to say with Tremaine. But also, Sports Chicago Style, my friend, hope you're doing well indeed. Then Muck saying, an MFer in the kitchen. That's Sports Chicago Style indeed. I got to try out some of your recipes, Triple R. Like for those that listen, Triple R Renewable, as you might have heard when we talk about him. Yeah, he's got a channel out there, Sports Chicago Style. And yeah, you got all sorts of cool stuff out there, my friend, about like recipes and all sorts of stuff. You getting fit and everything. So keep it up, man. Keep up the good work for sure. But also, Ron, my friend, claws up, bear down. It's a good feeling, isn't it, my friend? Like it's a good feeling. He's got the second 300 yard game, but also I heard that I think he's now the owner for the Chicago Bears rookie passing record now. So I kind of want to look this up on the fly. This is excellent podcasting. But actually, as I look this up, let me know your most valuable Bear. I'm curious. So everyone start letting me know who your most valuable Bear is. I want to look up Chicago Bears rookie passing records because he might have beat it. Yeah, he's already beaten. Caleb Williams has already broken a Bears quarterback record, and more could be on the way. Let's see. So Bears singles. Let's see. No, I just want to see the numbers. So yeah, Sports Chicago Style, a cornucopia of content. Thanks for the shout. For sure, man. For sure. Anytime. And let's see what else is out there. Sports Williams was spectacular. I don't care about all this other. This is why AI is going to take out written media. I'm trying to read this and I'm like, all I want to see is just what the record was. We'll have it later on. Let's see. His rookie passing yards record was held by Mitchell Trubisky, 2,193. Okay, so he still has a ways to go because I don't know. I thought someone said that he broke like a rookie passing record. It must have just been 300-yard games or something. So, but anyways, he's on pace. He's definitely on pace to break all those things. But let's see. Who is our most valuable Bear? Muck is saying Caleb. Taco Man saying Brisker. He knocked that guy out. Yeah. You see that? I was like, oh man. But also, in his defense, it felt like one of those where Tommy Tremble lowered his head. And it was one of those where they could potentially flag him instead of Brisker. So yeah, we'll watch it again. But yeah, that's what it kind of seemed like. It seemed a little different. But let's see. Most valuable Bear. I like what Bears Bones is saying. Dex, he could definitely be there. Dex had a very good game. Caleb had a great game. Bayer looked good. Yeah, that's right, Ravi. Like, Bayer did look really good. And I mean, let's just like kind of scan through. Like, Bayer led the team in tackles, tied with TJ Edwards and Edmonds and Tyreek Stevenson. Stevenson, I'll bring this up, like, continues to be the weak link in that secondary. And I mean, yet again, very good secondary, but he continues to kind of be that weak link where he's that high variance corner, boom or bust type of thing, especially with him. But Jalen's darn good, but I don't think that he was that good. I also gave Brisker the MVP last week. Kevin Byard had a good game, made some pretty good tackles, 1 TFL, a pass defense, and an interception. And then, yeah, Jervon was all over the place too. How many tackles did he end up with? I don't even see him out here. I think he just had 1 tackle. What? No. He had 2 tackles. 2 tackles. 2 tackles, 4 quarterback hits. My God, Jervon. Have a day, sir. That is awesome to see. That brings a smile to your face right there. But yeah, to me, I think it's Caleb or DJ. Like, it's awesome to see DJ have a great game against his old team, right? Especially since everything has been kind of the questions about DJ Moore, about does he want to be a Bear and all this. It's nice to see it for sure. So let's see what else is out there. Let's see. Anything else? Taco Man saying Billings is underrated. 100%. Billings is such an underrated piece. So good. And also, like, we got him so cheap. And I think that's where it's like, we claim him as the Chicago Bear now. Even though he's been on the Bengals and other teams, he's a Chicago Bear now. He's now property of us. He's ours. Because I do hope that, like, they just keep him just as the big man in the middle for years to come, for sure, man. But part of me wants to go DJ, but I think overall, like, I see the comments with Caleb. We'll just give it to Caleb, right? He had a very good game. He had a very, very good game, and just the constant improvements, great stuff. DJ to me gets the second, like DJ's second, just because of what it meant for him to have this game after, like, I saw people out there saying trade him. It's like, first off, you can't trade him because he just signed an extension. That's not how the NFL works. For anyone that's curious, he just has all this guaranteed money. It's not the NBA. You can't just trade him. Up and trade him, you would have to eat all that dead money. So yeah, you can't trade him. People are like, maybe we should trade him. No. But he comes back, has a great game. That's what you want to see out there. But then also too, like, yeah, so I think to me, he's my number 2. And, you know, but to me, Caleb looked great, played great, and he just continues to get better and better and better. Just continues to stack these great games. That's what you want to see. And that's what makes this so much fun to cover, so much fun to watch. I can't wait to watch the tape tomorrow with all of y'all. So I hope to see y'all out there. So make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're out there on YouTube, make sure to hit the notification bell. But also, if you just want to listen to the podcast, just listen to the audio form, make sure to download it. Everywhere that you get your podcast, just search for Unbearable Sports. And with that, hope you all have a great, phenomenal week this week. And with that Unbearable Sports podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a